That's all me.
All right, I'm
We in
muting
this
myself.
world. We in this world. Let me
I'm muting myself.
get everything else together.
All right. Let's see.
All right.
Technical difficulties.
What's up, everybody? We in here like some squares. Um, Bryson, we radio with the man with the master plan. Um, he's many things, many things. I actually have a whole list of who you are.
You got a list?
So yeah, I got a list. I told you it was not a game. This was not a game for me. So we are in the building with author, speaker, ordained minister, uh, workshop clinician, marriage officiant, life coach, workshop facilitator, relationality specialist, brother, friend, and there's probably a whole bunch of stuff I left out. But Leanza Stockley, thank you, friend. And there's probably a whole bunch of stuff I left out.
Whoop, whoop.
So who was up with that background?
What the backdrop?
I can hear myself on your end.
Oh, that's probably me. Can you still hear yourself?
Um no. Yeah.
Let's see.
It sounds fine over here.
Let me see if I can fix it. How's that?
My mic sounds nice. Check one.
Check one, check
Not
two.
not as bad.
All
Not
right.
as bad.
All
We're
right.
gonna
Can you
make
hear
it
me?
work though.
You can hear me on the
Uh,
ground?
oh yeah. I can hear you real good.
Okay. All right.
Real good.
Right.
Well, sir, thank you for joining me. It's been a long time coming. Like you're like this big time superstar, and I've just been trying to get on your level and trying to get on your schedule. And I finally made it. Like I'm so excited.
Well, I'm excited. Not trying to get on my schedule like I'm really that busy
I
during
mean,
during the quarantine.
you out there, with the fancy people. Okay, so I know you got our special friend doing some tech stuff, but we got a lot of feedback and we got a lot of echoing. What's up to everybody on Instagram? Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know if you can hear this feedback and this echoing. This is what
And
technology
you know
is.
what?
Yes, we
Be
can
able to,
hear it.
You
let
said
me see.
what?
I might be able to get
Yes, we can hear it. Turn yourselves down.
let me find a earpiece or something.
Yes.
You know, everything in my life is Bluetooth, but I should
Oh,
have
because
one. Let
you
me see.
fancy.
I had one somewhere.
No Keisha, what's up, cuz? Let's see you on here. Stacy, what's going on? Boy, thank you guys for tuning in, for joining in. Thank you most for your streaming from StreamYard. We're streaming from Facebook. We're streaming from Instagram.
All right. Let's see if this
So
works.
we platforms. Courtney, what's up, my friend? That's my good friend right there.
Let me see if this works.
Okay.
Works for it. Now I ain't never used the earpiece on this computer. I got to figure out how to do it. Ain't that something? Does that solve anything?
Let's see. How do we sound?
Sounds
Hey,
good.
sound tech.
Bryson, you echoing, but the answer sounds fine.
I'm echoing, so I need to find another earbud, please.
Yep.
All right.
I'm back, just that quick.
Look at you. You
See,
got your stuff together.
problem is, y'all know what this whole problem is, right?
What?
It's these Apple products
Oh,
that I'm using. That's the
is
only issue. I'm squeaking like somebody's granny swing. How do we sound?
okay.
Oh, wait, how do you spell receipt? Glory. All
That's
right.
better. There's a very slight echo, but that's much better. No squeaking. As you
Okay.
were.
Okay.
Proceed.
All right. I just want to make sure I can be heard.
Shout out to our engineer, Angel Simmons. She's famous or whatever too. You guys go follow her at Loves Great Design. She's doing great things. She has some tricks up her sleeve that she will be releasing really soon, and we're excited about that. Excited to share that with her and to celebrate with her as well. So shout out to Angel Simmons. Go follow her at Loves Great Design.
Angel Simmons.
Thank, thanks for all you do, friend.
Right. Right.
Pleasure.
All right, Mr. Relationality.
Hey.
So before we get started, started, because we want to promote everything that you're doing, everything that benefits you. Let's talk about these draws real quick. Get these draws out the way. Let them know where they can find some draws, and then we'll go into the book. Okay?
Did everybody know I sell draws? Did they know
Listen,
underneathbazaar.com? Listen, that's www.underneath. Now, if you don't know how to spell underneath, I'm going to tell you by B-Y. Now, Zar is ZAHR.com. You can get you some draws for your honey, for your boo. And hey, that's relational too. Get you a book, sit in your drawers, and read with your boo.
see how it all comes together?
It comes together if you let it.
And these draws, y'all, these draws are magnifique. Do you understand? These ain't just no Hanes or no Fruit of the Looms. You understand?
No,
These underwear are for grown men.
they for grown men.
Period.
Yeah. And they hypoallergenic
Period. And they're hypoallergenic. So
and
you won't have the
antibacterial.
chafing. You won't have the chafing brothers. You won't have the jock itch. You won't have none of that.
You're like a
Thanks
second
to
skin.
a second win. Now we could talk about the underwear all night. I could make a whole conversation about the underwear, but I do want to actually celebrate you and congratulate you on your virtual book tour, and thank you for being allowing me to be your first stop. Of course, we're rocking with We Radio,
Amen.
and myself, and I am amen. And I'm glad that you chose me. That you chose us, that you chose this platform in order to launch your magnificent greatness.
Who else could I choose other than we radio?
Up, come on,
You
make
know,
it make sense.
I'll be on we radio like this our show. You know,
And it is, and it is.
yeah, for
Always
sure.
remember that. Like this. So I'm looking in a couple of directions because I got like 12 cameras going. This is my book. It don't say my name on it, but this is my book. This book is something else. This book, it took me forever to read this book because this book is so informative, and I ain't lying because I got all kind of I don't know if you can see the orange, but I got all kind of orange highlights in this book, and I have all kind of orange highlights on my notebook.
That's what's up.
So it's going down. It made me think so much um that I had to go back and reread and go back and reread again. And then when I would move forward, I would go back like a couple of more pages or a couple of more chapters, and I'll be like, but wait, let me put this together right here. Listen, this book is a whole trip. Um, this is kind of the part two of your initial book. Talk about that real briefly so they can know that um, that you're making it make sense. That it's coming together.
Yeah, it's all, I live by this. I guess I don't want to necessarily say I coined the phrase, but I guess I've used the phrase relationality, which was my first book. And actually, this is the first book,
Boom.
Relationality, consciously aligning to divine. Look, I got two cameras, so I got to go,
Right, right,
consciously
right.
aligning to divine relational worth. And it basically just talks about human relationships, period. All right. So usually when you say relationships, people just, we automatically go to our boo, our bae, our situationship. But relationality, which is basically the principle, or the principle which I live by, period. It's our, and it's a mix of our spirituality and the image of God on the inside of us. All right, God is a relational God. All right, so our spirituality at the very core is really a relational thing. We've made it a lot of other
Okay.
stuff, but it's really relational. So, but relationality actually means the state and quality of being relational, right? So, the first book is really about that, just in general, learning how to do, or learning how to really address and look at our relationships, period, as human beings. Right. And I think because a
Okay.
lot of times we're off trying to get a boo and we don't even know how to relate to, hell, to ourselves sometimes. All right. So relationality kind of is the foundation. I called it when I wrote it, I was like, that was my mic drop for everything. Anything else spinning off of that is really just going to be derivatives of that space.
Make it make sense. There it
Yeah.
is. So with relationship ready, I'm just gonna start honestly. I'm gonna present myself as a client.
Okay.
And I'm going to start, at the beginning, but I'm going to start to some of the things that stood out for me. Some of the things that triggered me, in some of the very best ways. Some of the things that validated, some of my thoughts. Some things that made me question my thoughts,
Hmm.
um, and my actions,
Okay.
and then some things that definitely gave me confirmation and affirmation. So,
Okay.
um, you know, for everyone, there's no question that we're eager to be in a relationship. Question is, are you
Are
ready?
we ready?
Everybody thinks they're ready. Even like,
Mm.
I bring this to the game. I bring this to the relationship. I'm doing this. I'm doing this, that, and the third.
Hmm.
But no, you're not.
Right.
You're not ready.
Right.
You're not. You're not ready. I'm a catch. Folks that don't want me don't know what they doing, what they talking about, what they whoa whoa wop the bam. This book will make you, and it should make you question yourself. It should make you question your thoughts and your spiritual alignment. You know,
Hmm.
not only for yourself, but for your partner, for your significant other.
Hmm.
So we want you want people to go from understanding and embracing relationship goals to embracing relationship
Relational
greatness,
greatness.
correct? Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is it relational greatness or relational greatness?
Yeah,
I
relational
go,
greatness or relationship greatness, greatness in our
uh-huh,
relationship. So
uh-huh.
it's really the same. And you see it all right now. The trend has been hashtag relationship goals. You see a couple kissing off on Instagram, it's hashtag relationship goals. You see a couple that's doing their thing with the money. They find they just got a new house, a new car, hashtag relationship goals. And what people are not realizing is sometimes that's just looks cute. All right. Now, but even in the cases where that is a real relationship to model yourself after, we don't know what it took for those people to get there,
Sure.
to get to that space. Right. So we can easily fall in love with what love looks like.
Right. And the facade, right? Because we're not
Exactly.
there.
Come on. Right. And you know how we know we're not there? Because look at the amount of breakups that we didn't have.
Hmm.
Look at the amount of people we didn't had to get rid of. Look at the amount of the ones ended up not being the ones. They ended up being the twos, the three, the fourth, the fifth, the eighth. You
Carry
know,
the one,
it
long
yeah,
division.
times
Yeah,
68 degree, and yeah, then we call it experience. See, I had
right.
experience. So then,
A lesson. It was a life
it was
lesson.
a lesson. It was a lesson. So now all of our relationship non-readiness has turned into, well, at least I learned this lesson. So all of the people that we claimed we loved, really they were reduced. And I would say reduced. Not that lessons aren't important, but they were reduced to just a lesson instead of a life. You know, so
Ooh.
so we really got to look at it from that standpoint of just looking for, like we were saying, instead of relationship goals, let's move on to relational greatness, because any goal that you set, and if that goal is not qualified by greatness, that even gives you the ability, because you're not great once you get there. See, we think that we're great once we get there. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
great before you get there. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
great on your way there. Because it's the greatness in you that's actually driving you to that particular space, at least from a spirit space. It's the greatness in you that makes your successes a success. Right? But sometimes we won't call ourselves great until we've achieved. And it's a little backwards. We got to realize there's some things that you put in place. You're relationally great. So now you can go and get, or go and pursue, or however you would want to say it, go and be prepared for giving a great relationship to somebody else. So then your goals can then be realized. It's more of, instead of just this dream to have a great relationship, you are awakened to have one, because you awaken to who you really are. Right. And if relationship and relationality, and if all of this stuff is already at the core of your being, see, what happens is we fall into that trap of how they do when, when you're a kid, and this is not against college, but they told you to go to college to be somebody. Right. They
Mm-hmm.
say that all the time. You got to go to school so you can be somebody. The problem with that is it gives the impression that you're not already somebody. Right.
Right.
So now you got to go and work hard to be somebody, which really only ends up being the labels that they told you that you could be. But our greatness is already in us. The image of God is already in us. The spirit of life, light, love, all that stuff is already in us. So we have to access that so that we can move on into this relation, from relational greatness, and have the relationships that we really deserve, are worthy of, and that really speak to who we really are.
All right. You said your Cash App is what now?
My cash,
Your cat. Yeah, yeah.
my
Because
cash
that was
app.
a whole word. That was a whole word right there. We don't really have to even go further. I mean, good
Leanza,
grief.
dollar sign Leanza Stockley. If you want to, I take it. I take it.
You got me over here with this pretty book, y'all. My book is so pretty. It's like velvet or something.
Yeah, it's like
It's
that's. See,
velvet.
this is
It's
the
soft.
author's version. This is different than if you bought it on Amazon. It ain't like this on Amazon.
Like this book, I could sleep with this book. Like literally, it's comfy, cozy, and you touch on, you feel on, and it's real soft, and it's comforting. And I think, I think that Leandra, I think you were very mindful even creating this cover,
Oh, intention.
um, for for people just to kind of, relax, feel it, absorb, don't be scared. Um, you're eager, but is your heart prepared? Just like that. And then
Right.
you ask a question like that, and then you open up this book. It's like pow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about a little bit. Let's talk about. We've kind of talked about alignment, and then going into your authentic self. Um, you've covered that a little bit, but break it down for the people in the cheap seats, if you will, on how those two go hand in hand.
Give me that again. Like how? Which part?
Alignment, and going into your authentic self,
Oh.
how those two
Oh.
go hand in hand.
How they go hand in hand. Well, ultimately, there is no authentic self if we're not aligned. All right, or you
Hmm.
won't realize your authentic self if you're not aligned. And what I mean by alignment is that very thing, is coming to the space of who you really truly are. Now, a lot of times there's a lot of competition for this, because we tend to believe that we are our personality. I'm just being me, right? And we say
Right.
it like this. We
Right.
say it like this. And sometimes, because you're saying it like this, let me know that ain't really you. That's just,
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's
that whole neck.
yeah, that whole neck is in there. Our personality. Listen, the word personality comes from the word persona, which means mask. All right. So if persona and personality, if it means mask, that means that's not who we are, it's how we are. All right. And a lot of times we, how we are and who we are, now they should work together, but a lot of times they don't
Right.
work together. So then we're married to the personality, but then we end up missing the spirit of our being, the image that's on the inside of us, the image that comes from the source, our creator. Right. At the core of our being, we are just like our creator. Right. So, and we've put personalities on top of that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. We, you know, you function in society, but I look at it this way: your personality is what you put on to make it through life, to deal with the world, to color life. All right. Now, it should be in sync with who we are at this very spirit core of our being. That's our most authentic self. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
love is not something that we have for people. Love is who we are. It's really the essence of who we are, right? That's our authentic self. That's actually and even scientific research has shown some of this, that even our default is really to trust, but life has happened. So now we don't trust, and now we're looking at each other with one eye open, and now we
Right,
wonder,
right. Side eye.
that joker be done, that joker get you, better watch him, because what, and then we call that wisdom, but sometimes that's really fear, right? Right. But our default is really to trust each other. All right, because that's what happens at a relational level. But we have been so far removed from it, even from the moment we were born. We get so far removed from the spirit of who we really are. We're trained into society. We're trained into religion. We're trained into, you know, how to the streets. We're trained into all of these ways of how to function and how to make it in life without getting your head blown off. All right, you know, but it takes
Right.
us away in some sense from who we really are at the very
How to
core of our
cope.
being. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So even our personality sometimes end up being how we're coping with how society has ended up being, versus how we're really truly contributing, all right, from the very core of our being. So that
Right.
alignment, and the authentic self is something that, and with a lot of the work that I try to do with people when I am having conversation, relationality sessions, or whatever you want to call them with them, it's really to try to go there and to try to help them realize and see what's really at the core of your heart, what's really there, because some of the turmoil we feel in life is because we've abandoned the very essence of our heart. Now, don't get me wrong, it's difficult too living from that space because the rest of the world is against it. So then it's,
Mhm.
you know, you sometimes you feel like you're caught between a rock and a hard place. But I would much rather be freely, authentically me than have to conform to the image of this world and then lose your soul in the midst of
Oh, that was a whole word.
it.
And listen, we haven't even made it to the intro of the book yet. The
No.
intro of the book. So the intro, relationship goals. Perfect relationships do exist, you say. Um, being the right person must precede finding the right person. Romance alone is a weak foundation. Expand on that, please.
Yeah. So the word perfect has two meanings. All right. When we see the word perfect,
Yes.
usually, you know, we take it, there's the perfect that is the error free, meaning I'm perfect. I do everything perfectly. I don't ever mess up. All right. None of us are that. All right. None of our life is that. We have hiccups. We have things that we follow. But then another word for perfect actually just means mature. All right. So we can have perfect,
Hmm.
mature relationships, which maturity is able to deal with hiccups, is able to deal with when everything don't go the way it's supposed to go, when things go left. See, this is when, so the perfect relationship
Right.
is not the one where there's no trouble. The perfect relationship is the one where you learn how to navigate that trouble in wisdom, in knowledge and understanding, in love, and this is that and the other. So when you begin to function that way with one another, when you begin to function that way, in a mature manner, when you run into all of the issues that we run into in relationships, you have a perfect relationship. Right. And that's something that we're constantly
Hmm.
growing towards, or whatever. It's not necessarily something that we just, you know, you just wake up and you got it. But that's also a part of that whole aligning to your authentic self. When we relate from our authentic selves, and this message is to everybody, not just you relating, Bryson, from your authentic
Sure.
self, but whoever else comes into relationship with you have to operate from their authentic selves too. And when we both are operating from our authentic selves, there's a compatibility there that we don't even, that would probably blow our minds. because we weren't all created incompatible. There's a lot of that talk going on around the world.
And people are
God
so
ain't put
scared to embrace that, like in whatever kind of ship, relationship, intimate relationship, friendship,
family.
situationship,
Yeah. Hmm.
workplace, yeah, family. People are so afraid to embrace that, especially people of color. To me,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're so afraid to lose that level of emotion and allow that level of emotion to just be.
Hmm. Yeah. And rightfully so. We've been abused. We've been hurt. People have hurt us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of it makes sense that we go through a lot of the things that we, go through a lot of the issues or the things, how people are afraid. Our fear is in some sense valid, but we just can't let it continue to be the reigning principle. Otherwise, we're going to always still be getting what we've been getting, if that makes sense.
Right, right. And we
So,
see where we are with that now. So,
exactly.
um, okay. I'm going to slide through. Chapter R, relational philosophy. Some things that stood out to me is your intentions in relationality.
Hmm.
How humans are not designed to be alone. Um, and like you were just saying, it's hard to believe that there's kind of somebody for everybody. Your
Hmm.
person is out there. Um, I'm
Somewhere
struggling with that.
listening. Somewhere listening to my name.
Right. I'm struggling with that part, and I'm sure a lot of people are struggling, with that part. Um, Explain, and what I want you to do is kind of navigate through these chapters and kind of give, our supporters, our folks who are listening as we go through each chapter, give our supporters and our listeners, based off the pointers that I give, the tidbits that I give them, kind of what the breakdown is. But of course, we're not revealing the entire thing because we want you guys to go buy the book. It's called Relationship Ready. You can go to leanzerstockley.com and you can purchase this book. It is also available on Amazon. But we would like for you to go to leanzerstockley.com to purchase the book, because then guess what? All the funds go to Leanzer Stockley. Okay?
With the exception of uh part $1 of every book sold is going to go to something special. I ain't ready to reveal that yet, but it's going to go to something special that ain't me.
That
All
ain't
right, and the
him.
book is actually on sale right now too. So it's on the website already set up. So you just go there and it's on sale for $12 now instead of the normal
$12.
$16.95. Right. So it's $12
Oh,
plus shipping.
that's a good hookup.
Yeah, yeah. So I try to do that. And if people need to order more, for their book clubs that they need to get them for, then just
Come
email
on,
and
book
we can
club.
work it out. All right.
Right,
Because
right, right.
6 books or more will be $10.
Oh, there it is. And don't cheat yourself, you guys. Don't cheat yourself. Don't be too proud. Don't be too proud. Find some humility and work on a better you. Work on a better purpose. Work on a better focus. So
Yeah.
intentions and relationality, friends, speak on it.
With that, and that's coming from that first chapter, just with the whole relational
Yes.
philosophy. And we have to ask ourselves, because we operate from a relational philosophy, whether you know it or not, whether you've actually established one or not. There's something that drives how you relate to people. All right, there's something
Mm,
that drives that, and what we have to do is really look into what our relational philosophy is. What have we adopted as wisdom relationally? The word philosophy is actually, I think it's a Greek word or whatever, but it basically means the love of wisdom. All right,
hmm.
philo, love. Sophia is wisdom. All right, so the word philosophy is love of wisdom, and you have to figure out what is it that drives your relational functioning, your relational wisdom. Sometimes it's not good things. When I look around in our society, there's a lot of things that's driving how we relate that's really ill. It's really a lot of
Yeah.
BS. All right, and
Yeah.
then we're wondering why our relationships don't work, or we're wondering why. So we got to really be brave enough to look at, where did I learn this from? Where did I learn this way of relating from? Where did I learn that? And I'm gonna say this. Where did I learn that the man is supposed to be the head? Not
Mm.
saying that any of this is wrong. I'm asking you to ask yourself, where did I learn that? And do I believe that? Where did I learn that, a woman's supposed to be in the kitchen cooking? Where did I learn that in same sex relationships that somebody's supposed to be dominant and somebody's supposed to be less dominant? We ask ourselves those questions because a lot of times those are the very dynamics that's ruining our relationships. Those are the very dynamics that's killing us in so many ways. So with being intentional and being really understanding whatever your relational philosophy is, you have to look at it and be willing to edit it. All right. And to embrace, and again, coming from your authentic self. If you had never been hurt in life, how would you relate to these people? If we didn't have to look out the corner of, if you didn't have to watch people with one eye open, if you didn't feel like you ever was sleeping with the enemy, how would you be? All right. And we got to begin to build our relational philosophy from there. Again, not saying be a doormat, or it doesn't say that at all. Sometimes we think that vulnerability means that you're weak. It's actually a deep
Sure.
strength. It's actually a very
Sure.
deep strength. So we have to look at that and then begin to, so your relational philosophy is what leads you to your intentions regarding your relationships. All right. This doesn't mean that you're still going to hit everything on the head and always be right, or that you always, you know what I'm saying, that you still may step on your partner's toes. All right. But if the intention of your heart is ultimately not just to get them, but to love them, then you're being bold in that sense to say, I need to make some adjustments. I need to make some edits. So, but that relational philosophy is extremely important because it's also what leads to you creating your relational vision.
Wow. Wow. Also in this chapter, in this first chapter, chapter R as you call it, you you expressed what your relational summative is. Can you break that down and explain that to us?
In short, you can't really see it good in the light on this camera probably, but this symbol here is my relationality symbol. In the middle is the symbol of consciousness. On the outside is that circle, which represents, and the three dots. This
Hmm.
represents Ubuntu, African Ubuntu philosophy, which says, I am because we are. All right. And then the consciousness, of course, the stages of consciousness, and this, that, and the other. But around this, it says, I am love for you. So my
Hmm.
relational philosophy basically summed up is, I am love for you. That's the wisdom, not just having love for you, because see, I've seen things that I've had love for and I consumed it
Yeah.
because I loved it. See, I love cookies.
Yeah.
Man, I
Yeah.
love ice cream, but it didn't
Yeah.
last, did it? I ate it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's actually in one of your last couple of chapters. Yeah, I'm glad you said that right now.
Talking about that meat. Hmm. I consumed it.
Right.
But see,
Yes.
if I really loved it, if I really love you, the idea, I use flowers all the time as an example. And I say, if you
Hmm.
really, people say, oh, I love flowers. So then they go get these flowers and they put them they cut them from their source, they put them in a vase and stick them on the table as a nice little centerpiece. But what's going to happen in a few days? Those flowers
They're
are
gonna
going to
die.
die. If you
Right.
really loved flowers, you would leave them where they thrive. Right. So you would, if you want to go see them, you go to the garden where they thrive. Or at best, you would get a plant and then you would take care of that. You would take care of that
And
plant.
nurture it.
And this is what we have to do with our relationships. So in the sense, you're not just loving them, you're being love for them because you're giving them what they need to thrive. Love is giving one another what we need to thrive. All right. So for me, when I say I am love for you, I don't just have love for you, because that would
Hmm.
be dependent upon how I feel a lot of times. And my feelings really ultimately do nothing for you. Generally speaking, they don't do nothing for you. They do something for me. They make me feel good. All right. But
Hmm.
ultimately, what does do something for you is when I'm standing and I'm being patient for you. I'm being kindness to you. I'm being, long suffering, whatever it is that you may need. When I'm being that for you, then I'm now taking a stand. And that's how my relational philosophy works. That's where it all drives from. It says, I recognize that on the deep inside of me, my authentic self is love. So that drives everything I do in the way that I try to function and operate with people all the time. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but it's there. It's like the answer is, are you being you, in this situation? Now they just cussed you out. Now what you gonna do? Now I'm probably gonna
Right.
get you together. I'm
Right.
probably gonna get you together. All right. But
Right.
I'm going to get you together at first attempt. I'm going to get you together from a loving space. All right. So even my getting you together ain't me. I told that bitch off. It
Right.
is me
Right.
coming from this ain't how we spoke. We're consciously aligning to our divine relational worth. And you're not speaking to me like I'm worth anything. That's not good for you nor good for me.
Right.
So yeah, so my relational philosophy comes from the I am love for you. You'll see it. I'm trying to brand it because I want people to understand it. I want people to even embrace it, because that's where I think we really begin to feel fulfillment in our relationships, not just getting our little desires met, but when we really recognize that that person that you hanging out with, your friend, your boo, your mom, your cousin, they are being love for you. They don't just have love for you, and that's what's driving their interactions towards you. Then it answers so many problems and holds you
Yeah. Yeah.
accountable.
And it holds you accountable, and building that accountability, and that I am love for you, intentionality. You expressed, you shared the 4 P's: present tense, personal perspective, positive language, and passion.
Mhm.
Why these 4 P's? Why
Those
these
four,
why these things in themselves? Period.
those are important, and I take those from. I do. I'm a relationship workshop facilitator for enlightened relationships through Transformation Academy, and that's one of the highlights of that when you're creating your relational vision. All right, is to use the 4 P's and to use them in a way in that building of that one, of building not just your philosophy, because that should kind of be there anyway, but when you actually partner with somebody or getting ready to partner with somebody and you're trying to do your relational vision for the relationship, because this is what we need to do. A lot of us are just together. All right, but there needs to be a
Hmm.
vision. There needs to be a vision. Where there's no vision,
What's up,
people perish. Now,
Matrix?
when I'm talking about vision, I'm not necessarily just talking about, oh, we're going to be rich or we're going to have this, or we're going to, because your relational vision can be just as simple as we both want to live in relationships with somebody that's interested in being their higher self.
Right.
All right. So it doesn't have to be these big dreams that people feel like they have to, whatever, because that also leads to the purpose of relationships. So with the 4 P's, it just goes into how to create that particular vision. You want to be, what are they? Because I didn't put them in there and don't even remember. It's like you
They
want to be,
are
yeah, you
present.
want to make sure that it's present tense, meaning I will have no, we have, because the ideal thing is to do this with your partner. All right. And say, we have a great relationship, or we have a relationship that doesn't run from trouble, but we meet it head on as a team. All right. That you're building that in the present tense. So it's kind of like
So
Spain.
just speak those things. Speak those things as though they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Right.
You speak them as though they are. And believe this or not, our brain responds to that. If you tell your brain gonna be, your brain thinks gonna be. All right.
Hmm.
So not in the sense of lying to yourself, all right, but in the sense of retraining your brain to remember, oh, this is the vision for our. So when you run into issues in your relationship, hey, we got to go back to our relational vision, because
Hmm.
we didn't deviate from the vision, and we need to read it so we can make it plain and run with it. All right. So that present, keeping it present tense, keeping it positive. All right. I don't want nobody that's gonna be such and such. I don't want nobody that's going such and such such a. Okay, see, you're pouring that
And it
energy,
gotta look like Denzel.
and and they don't look, so you're pouring that energy, and when they gotta look like this here, that's vanity in a sense.
Right.
You're pouring that
Right.
energy into your vision. All right, so
Right.
your whole life is going to respond to that or whatever. So
Right.
that's important. What's the other one?
The other one is your personal perspective.
Oh yeah, making sure that these things are done from you and your, again, sometimes you're doing your relational vision alone, but if you have the privilege and whatever, because you may be doing it as a single person, but if you're doing it as a
Right.
person with somebody else, it has to come from a perspective of you guys Not all these other people. So many relationships are failing and falling apart because we're looking at somebody else's. We're looking at other people's hashtag relationship goals or
Right.
relationships, and we're trying to get what they got, and totally missing the essence of who the two of you are. See, when you put two elements together, it creates another element. You put two H's, what is it, H2O, two O's, or you get what I'm saying. But when you put hydrogen and oxygen together in the right formula, it creates water, right? They may create fluoride.
Right.
So if you're looking at their relationship and trying to do what makes them thrive or what happen, there are some generals that just is for all relationships. But sometimes we're looking from a different perspective and we're trying to have a relationship from somebody else's perspective, and it will ruin your relationship. It nearly ruined mine. So those are things that we have to really, really take into account and look at. And what's the last one? I did
Passion.
present and passion. That's almost self-explanatory. You got to really want that. All right, that's the simplest way to say that. You got to really want it. All right, because sometimes we say we want these things, and we don't. We want it, but we don't want to do the work that it takes to really get it. All right, so I'm not talking about the burning passion that just like is going to cause you to shoot the neighbor just because you want his wife. I'm
Right.
not talking about
Right.
that. All right,
Right.
I ain't talking about that. All right, they got you hooking up in the bathroom. We ain't talking about that. All right, but to really desire it and really want it to the degree that you're going to put in the work to get it, and be excited about it. This is the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, even if it's a friend, because we're talking about a boo, or we're talking about a bae, or I say beau, but we're talking about this other significant other or whatever. So this is the person you want to spend the rest of your life with.
But
Be
we're not
excited.
saying bae because you said that's got a bad connotation to it. The breakdown
It,
is kind of and
it, ain't- it means poop in Danish. Yeah, and
and
some of
that's
us
why y'all keep
some of us
dealing
have
with
had
all
some
that
bays.
BS.
Yes, some of us have had some bays.
See
It was
how it all
poop.
comes
It was
full circle.
BS.
BS.
Or
Tornado.
me and Simmons, me and my friend Simmons used to call it badass experiment.
And that part too.
Yeah,
And that part too.
yeah,
All of it equates to BS.
yeah.
All of it equates to BS. Right. Right. Badass experiment.
My bae. That's my bae.
That's my bae. 4 P's, you guys. Follow the 4 P's. It'll get you some productivity. 4 P's equal productivity.
Hey, that works.
I'm not even gonna charge you for that, friend. I'm not even gonna charge you. I'm not even gonna charge you. That was off the dome. All right, let's get to chapter E. Chapter E is empathy response. And just a few of the things that you cover in chapter E, and if you can elaborate on, emotional intelligence. People might think that that's simple. It's not as to me. It's not as simple as it seems. Emotional intelligence. Oh, I gotta make sure I leave out his favorite shirt or iron. He wants 3 creams in his coffee or whatever. I'm thinking that's not necessarily, emotional intelligence, and your emotional intelligence equals your emotional experience, which allows you to empathize. So I
Mhm.
know I just said a mouthful, but you wrote the book, so you know what I'm talking about. So if you could, kind of break that down for us.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence has been a big thing for these last few years, last several years. It's been a thing,
Mhm.
and we're moving now into, and I talk about it in the book too, into spiritual intelligence, because ultimately your relationship, the thriving of your relationship is going to come from your spiritual intelligence too. All right. So emotional intelligence, a lot of people,
They should be
we
one and the same, though. No.
they can be. They can be.
Mm.
So the way I've it's been downloaded to me is that spiritually intelligent people are emotionally intelligent, but some emotionally intelligent people are not spiritually intelligent because they get consumed in the emotion and
Mm-hmm.
get lost in the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
or have taken certain emotions and tried to use them to manipulate a situation. Spiritual
Yes.
intelligence doesn't
Come
teach you how to
on. Come
manipulate a
on.
situation. Spiritual intelligence teaches you how to manifest All right, how to manifest as ourselves. All right, emotions. And again, emotions are not bad. We need them. And emotional intelligence is needed. All right, your IQ, just like your intellect, academic, whatever, your EQ, emotional intelligence, being able to even read cues from people. I struggle with that sometimes, being able to read where people are emotional, because I'm not very expressive sometimes emotionally. I am, but not in the way that others generally can understand. You can give me a gift and I can be jumping on the inside, but my face look like this.
Right.
You know, so it's like,
Right.
why aren't you excited? Oh, I'm elated.
Right.
Or, I have a little bit I'm on the spectrum just a little bit. So it's some things that are social cues that I miss. But even just that emotional, from that space, having that emotional intelligence and really embracing it and listen, and it starts with being able to understand your emotions. All right. Being able to understand your emotions. I say all the time, sometimes you are one of your best teachers, because if you just listen and watch your life, your body, your moods, your whatever, you can get a lot about other people. Do you want that happening to you? Do you want somebody to treat you this way? Do you want somebody to treat you that way? All right. So, it's not necessarily, like you said, about going and having the dinner ready, but it's about the honor that you give to the other people that you have entered into relationship with. And again, now I'm crossing that a little bit more so on the side of spiritual intelligence, all right, of how we really truly fit into this whole package and relate to one another and cause one another to thrive or not thrive.
Okay. That's knowledge. That is knowledge. Going into chapter A. Chapter this whole book could have been about chapter A.
Accountability.
Chapter A, yes, chapter A could have been the whole book. The whole book. So I think for you, I think you're gonna have to write a part 2 of
Ooh.
Relationship Ready.
My camera's
Yep.
static. Your camera.
Right.
Oh.
What? Shout out to the tech.
Chapter 2 coming in 2021.
Come on,
Relationship.
vision.
Did you get ready?
Right. Is
Whatever.
relationship, is you ready yet?
Get ready.
Is you ready
Whatever.
yet? You still ain't ready? So chapter A, accountable partnering. My writing has gotten a little sloppy. So it's about how it's not about how different we think we are, because the truth is we are all connected. Who going down the street? Somebody going down the street? Okay.
Yeah, that was
The truth is
loud.
yes, we are all connected, but we are distinct collective. So explain to us how, God's magnificent greatness kind of created that to be for us and what it means for us in relationships.
Okay. Yeah. So it basically just goes back to the fact that we're relational beings at the very core of our being. We're trying all kind of ways to not be, except for when we're ready to have sex and we want to be relational. But what we don't realize is that we are truly connected. Everything is connected. That even the planet, even the universe, when you look at some of these things of how all of this stuff works together, it's at the very essence and very core of our being. For better or worse, we're connected. Even without the marriage ceremony. For better or and that's overall. That's people for better or worse. And there's some people you feel like, hey, I ain't dealing with them. I don't want to deal with them. Or I'm gonna cut them off.
Right.
Or I'm just whatever. But ultimately, we are, because we are connected. We are affected by each other. Even if it was somebody drove you to the point of saying, I'm finna cut them off. They affected you. All right. They, because we are connected in that way. Right. So
you had a reaction.
Yeah, you had some type of reaction. So we're connected in that sense. And there's no way that we're going to be able to get away from that. Even if you decide to be a hermit and just stay in your house and don't have no relationships with people, we, at the very core of our essence, we're relational beings. All right. So with that, we're connected and ultimately one. However, we have distinctions. All right. There's distinctions about us. I may be a thumb. You may be a pointer finger. Somebody else may be a knee. But the whole body is connected. All right. And the whole body is equally important. The whole body is equally needed. All right. The whole body is worthy. All right. So the finger is no less worthy than and if we think about it from this standpoint, the eyes have this great ability to see. All right. But if it didn't have feet, it couldn't go to what it's looking at. All right. So, and this is also one of the reasons why we need to be able to trust each other. All right. And this is where the accountability and stuff comes in. If I'm eyes and all I do is lie about what I see, then the rest of my body can be mad at me because I led us astray. I told the feet to go somewhere that really was just
Mhm.
going to get us in trouble. So being connected in this sense and being accountable to one another is I have to, as the eyes, I have to take seriously what I see and what I say. Because my brain is going to respond and my feet are going to respond and they're going to go somewhere, and I don't want to lead them into something that's whatever. If the feet and the eyes are arguing, then we ain't going to get much. We're not going to get too far. So hopefully people can understand what I'm saying when I'm and how I'm trying to connect in that every part of our body is extremely important. And when I'm saying body, I'm using that as a figurative for our relationship to and with one another. All right. I need you to be you. All right. So if you're not going to be you, you're affecting our life some kind of way. You're affecting me. We've seen this just happen right now with the whole corona stuff, with the virus thing going. How does this thing affect the whole freaking planet? Because we're
Right.
connected. Because we're connected. All right. So there are, and then look at this, the connection that we have with the earth because of the shutdown. Have you seen any of the news about environmental things that are happening? How the ozone is healing itself a little bit, and but because we didn't slow
Mhm.
ourselves down because we
Right.
affect
But
all of
still.
these things. So it's the same way with our relationships. My move, it plays either against or with your move. This is what I call obedience in relationships. It's really, obedience is not this, you do what I tell you to do. Obedience is really just a choreographed dance. All right, it's just a chord.
Mm.
Dancers are obedient when they're dancing together. They're obedient to one another. We're being obedient to one another right now. I'm listening to you. You're listening to me. The people that are watching, all of you are listening here. You're either taking it in, or hopefully you're not rejecting what's being said. But we're in a sense of obedience and in a flow and in a commune, a community, whatever. And that's the same thing with our relationship. So you are a distinct individual, but you are a whole too. You are a part of the whole. And as long as we continue, and this goes into the relational philosophy, if you live your life with this idea that it's just me, then you're going to relate that way. And it's going to be
Mm.
it's going to be a problem when you're trying to be with somebody else.
Wow. Wow. Um, I had several pages that I wanted to highlight with chapter A, but for the sake of time, because it's like one, two, three, it's 4 pages that I wanted to highlight. But we're
Ooh,
gonna
child,
we're gonna have to do this. Yep.
you got to do a part two.
I
And we on tour.
did you
We
guys,
can do as many as we need to do.
and we can come back. You
Right.
listen. I got a whole interview just for the pages. I got quotes, and then I got the pages that I've highlighted. So we could come back and we can circle back around and we can do a whole interview just with the pages. Okay.
Hmm. That's fine with me.
You said mm-hmm. All right.
That's
Chapter D, devotional creed. I can't even
fine.
read my own handwriting. Devotional creed. And you believe that devotional creed is reserved for another human being. Sometimes you give to another spirit being, another living soul, another life.
Hmm.
It's a word that is much, much stronger than commitment.
Hmm.
What are the hows and whys of a devotional creed?
I really ultimately believe, like just like you said, that we're committed to a job, and and sometimes you're only committed to that as long as it's committed to you. Devotion to me, like I said, is a much stronger word, and I believe that it's words that are that are dedicated to other beings, other human beings, and to devote it to something much greater than just these temporary things. Our jobs and these earthly things, they're temporary. All right. But our devotion, it comes from the very essence and the heart. The church people know when we had devotion. Well, I don't know how, sometimes that's a little whatever. But when we're devoted to a thing, we're all the way in as ourselves. All right. When we're committed to a thing, usually we're just there with our talents or what it is that we, or as long as it's giving back to us. All right. But devotion
Right.
comes from the very core of our essence because it's a relational word. Commitment is not necessarily a relational word. All right. It's a word that we have, it's actually a word that we've been able to use and embrace in our capitalistic society. All right. So, but devotion is a word that actually comes from, it's almost, for lack of better words, I want to say it's almost like a fruit. It's a fruit of the spirit of who we are or whatever, to be devoted to this relational aspect of our being. All right. So having that creed, making sure that we're living by that and always aware of that and always mindful of that and developing that character on the inside of us is sure to lead us into a place of, at least for ourselves, we're taking the position that we need to take relationally with
And
other
some of
people.
the and some of the top three things that you addressed in the book that goes along with devotion are love, loyalty, and trust. And based on what I was reading, and it makes sense, you can't have one without the other.
Mhm,
Without all three.
mhm,
I should say, because it just doesn't work. It
mhm.
doesn't manifest. But break down real quickly why how these three go hand in hand.
Love, loyalty, and trust.
Yes.
All right. When you really, the way that I receive this is really they're one. They're all really one thing. But
Mm.
because we have distinctions in the way we function and the way we talk, you have to call one love, call one loyalty, and uh, call one trust.
Trust.
All right. But at the end
Hmm.
of the day, you ever read, for those that have ever picked up a Bible and read some scripture, it says love always trusts. And we be like, what do you
Hmm.
mean? No, well, no, it don't. But when we really get a deeper understanding of what love really is, it does always trust. A lot of our lack of trust has been based off of abandonment of love. Not like you don't love somebody specifically, but because there
Hmm.
is this abandonment of love in our society, there is now this idea that we're not being dealt with from a loving space. So how can I trust it? Because we are, our brains automatically associate love and trust. We just, our minds don't, because of the way that um, that we function in life. But ultimately, it's all one thing: love, loyalty, and trust. Love. How can you call it love if it's not going to be loyal to it? All right, to stick around. And going back to the word thriving, let's use the word thrive here. How can I cause it to thrive if I keep abandoning it? Right? How can it trust me if I keep abandoning it? Is those two go together? All right. And how can I trust it if it doesn't have my best interest at heart? There's love. All right. So they're all ultimately, people would generally say that they're brothers and sisters in it, because, but really, listen, all of life is one. I have a big, huge philosophy on oneness. All right. We just break up it because we can only understand it in pieces. All right.
Right.
So, but it's all one. Love, loyalty, trust. It's all one thing, really.
Hmm.
And we all got to work on
Okay.
it.
And then virtues kind of ties into that, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's all of this is. And even this whole thing of being relationship ready, if you really listen to it and really pay attention to it, it's just simply developing the virtues, developing and exposing the virtues that are already in you. They're there. These are the fruit of the spirit. These are the fruit of your spirit. And it's a matter of you nurturing those things, bringing those things out, working through them, and just really, really laying them out on the table. That's what you bring to the table.
Right.
Then you really bring something.
Right. Um, mm, this stood out too, but I'm just gonna mention it, and then we're gonna dance right around it, and we're gonna go to chapter Y, but also in chapter D, um, your pleasure and your pursuit versus your passion and your purpose. I'm just gonna put that
Mm,
out there. I want you guys to get this book and read it because I don't want him to spoon feed you guys. I don't want
mm,
him to spoon feed you. I definitely want this to be, a thought-provoking conversation. And if your mind, if your wheels aren't turning by now, we're gonna pray your strength. We're gonna pray your strength. Thank you guys who are tuning in on StreamYard. I see a lot of people who have popped up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody that's on Instagram, and I
Q, are
think
they able
on
to talk? Or
Instagram, I think they're about to cut us off, so we'll have to restart. But we're still streaming on StreamYard.
Mhm.
See, because they just cut me off. So they only let you do an hour on Instagram. So we'll just continue, and
Okay.
I'll send another um request. That's all.
Okay.
Because this is good stuff. This is good stuff. So let's go into chapter Y. Yield ready.
Hmm.
We all should understand at least what yield means. That means, hold up, wait a minute, proceed with caution, check it out, make sure everything is everything, right?
Hmm.
So I got pages for this too, friend. I do. I can't help it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh.
This I mean, shoot. Ain't nobody tell you to write this book like this. Shoot. Um
It was the Lord's doing.
glory. So chapter Y, yield ready. And we talk about the yield factor. We talk about the
Okay.
yield factor, and I'm just gonna read this quick little. It's two sentences. Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Our lives have become about self-preservation so much that often when we think of engaging relationships, we are obsessed with figuring out how it serves us. Sometimes this leads to a tainting of our service to others because it turns out that our service is based on their service. That's a
Tit
whole
for
mic
tat.
drop right there.
Yep. Tit for
That's a
tat.
whole mic drop right there.
Hmm. And you
Please.
hear it a lot. I love you because you love
Uh-huh.
me,
Right.
and that's what that
Right.
boils down to. So we've basically turned, and I said this before, we've turned love into a mutual benefit scheme.
Right.
You know, and that's not really real love. That's actually, I'm only giving you this because you gave me XYZ. We haven't see, when we're still operating that way, you haven't stood fully authentically in who you really are. All right, you're still being manipulated. You're still being manipulated by something else. But to really truly be authentic to who you are is to be in a position where you're not being manipulated by something from outside forces. All right.
How,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
right. Because you see, I'm over here like, yeah. How do people like truly like get past that though? In their lives, like, will everyone be able to surpass that manipulation, you know what I mean? In order to achieve their true authentic self. Is that possible?
I think that it is possible. I think that it is not perfect. Error free. The
Okay.
error free version of perfect. I do believe that it's possible. Um, I do believe that it's difficult. Right. And the thing, but what we have to understand, what's making it difficult is because our flesh has been the ego, and
What's
the
up, man?
flesh has been strengthened more than our spirit has,
Mm,
or our attention to our ego, our personality, our whatever has been strengthened. That's what we've been feeding our entire life.
mm-hmm.
So then you're saying, make way for this godness to come out of me. Make
Uh-huh.
way for this Christness to come out. Oh no! And then there's there's a constant battle between the flesh and the spirit, right? But it doesn't change the fact that that's who we really are. That's
Mm-hmm.
who we really are at the very core of our being. So what it really takes is courage. What it really
Mm,
takes, and this is why I love yield is probably my favorite chapter, because I believe one of the greatest things for having a great relation for relational greatness is willingness. Are you willing to
Are
go
you
to the
willing?
true depths of your nature, not just what's been nurtured in us. And it's not until we go to the very core of who we really are that we can really say that we showed up in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Nature
You,
versus
your
nurture.
representative, your personality might have showed up, your trauma might have showed up, everything else might have showed up, but not until you go to that authentic space and decide to say that I'm willing to be me and I'm willing to let you be you. All right, which doesn't have to be a fearful thing. It's usually fearful because of, again, because we know what people have done with themselves, and you're going to lord yourself over me, or you're going to, oh, now Adam and Eve eat of the tree, where he said, oh, now your desire will be for your husband, and he will lord over you. All right, so we're afraid
Right.
of that, right? So we're afraid of that space of vulnerability. So courage, willingness, vulnerability, that has to be at the very core. And again, these are virtues that are already on the inside of us. You have to be willing to do it and allow yourself to do it. And again, when people hear this, they think you're saying just let people do whatever they want to do to you. Love is not passive, all right? But we think it is. So because we get all mushy when we hear about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not this passive thing, it's not this passive thing. It's actually something that's very, very, love gets things in order.
Uh-huh.
I should say it teaches us how to play the game right instead of just playing football and you running all out of bounds and this is that and the other, whatever. Love actually of brings us to the space of actually doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. All right, there you go over there on Instagram. Hey y'all. All right.
Hey, y'all. And let's
So
recap real quick. Guys, we
mhm.
are live on Instagram with Leander Stockley. He is everything under the sun, but right now at this very moment, he is a relational coach, and we are discussing. He is a relational coach and an author, and we're discussing his brand new book and his virtual book tour for his book, Relationship Ready. Man, it's a whole beast, it's a whole mood. Um, you can check this book out right now. You can find it at leanzerstockley.com. $1 of the proceeds for each purchase will go to a specific source that is in need. Um, and he will share that, at a later date. But just know that your purchase is not just for you. Your
Yes.
purchase is beyond you. It's beyond your personal relationship, maybe inside your household. You are, blessing some or sowing a seed into another person or another entity, if you will. Okay, so go get this book. We're going to keep listening. If you have missed it so far, we are on chapter Y. We are talking about yielding. We have a few more chapters to go. This stuff is so intense. Um, I'm going to need something to drink besides water in a minute. My brain is throbbing in the best way. In the best way.
Here you go, friend.
In the oh, what is that? What is some
Some
hypno?
little, some little bottle of hypnotic somebody gave me. I don't even drink,
Come
but
on, hypnotic. They still make hypnotic.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Um, again, Facebook Live. Man, we're everywhere. Facebook Live. We're on StreamYard. We're
We're on
on Instagram. We're on where?
YouTube.
We're on YouTube. Facebook, Instagram, StreamYard, YouTube. Check him out at what's your what are all your handles? Where can they find you?
You can get me at Leander Stockley is Facebook. I'm the only one on there. Um, my Instagram is at Lionzar20 at
Hmm.
Lionzar,
Yeah.
right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Lionzar.
Yeah. Or also at Society 61, which is the organization. And then my Twitter is at Leanzar too. So all very easy, simple, simple handles.
Hmm. So if you're interested in keeping up
Just
and
Google.
following and or you can just Google him because he's Googleable. He's Googleable. So you could just Google him. But if you're interested in keeping up, please do so at one of those media resources. He is here. This book is here. This book is amazing. Um, and if you missed his first book, Relationality, go get that. That might prep you for this book, because this book is not, oh Lord, I almost forgot about the draws. And you can get some draws. So you can have these books and you can have some draws. Okay?
You
Lee,
can get
we
it all.
cannot forget about the draws.
No, you can get it all.
You can get it all. Underneath by Czar. Brothers, ladies, get your man some draws. Your booze, get your significant under right. See, get your
Hmm.
significant other some underwear for him to wear underneath, and y'all could study this book together, and that would be so romantic.
Yes, and some
Relationship
people have
ready
already been doing that, and it's been blessing some folks.
with the draws too, or just with the book, or which one, or with both.
With the book, but I need to send them
Oh,
some draws maybe, and that'll even bless them even further.
shoot, you finna have some new god babies and everything. All right. Back to this book. Chapter Y, relationship ready. We are talking about the yield factor. And again, I had just a few things that we were highlighting, but you just spoke a whole word actually in that description. But if you can remind everybody again that every failed relationship or encounter is not necessarily a case of incompatibility. What is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. A lot of times I feel, listen, I'm going to be bold and say this here. 80 to 90% of our failed relationships are not issues of compatibility. They're issues of unwillingness. They're issues of unyieldedness. They're
Mm,
issues of underdeveloped character. All right. They're issues of
mm,
ill philosophies regarding how relationships are supposed to be. There is no way that God created 7 billion people and we're all this incompatible. All right.
right.
So there's something, what is it that makes us incompatible is what we have to look at. All right. There's something at the core, or there's something that is blocking us from being able to, and you see this all the time. Oh, we had communication issues, or I hate it, grieves. And now I'm not saying everybody's supposed to be together as significant others. All right. But you hear all this, oh, well, we just had communication issues, or he didn't do this. And a lot of times it'd be things that you hear that are surface, that are character flaws, or things, areas where people just, the character just wasn't there yet, or he was cheating or whatever. Cheating sometimes can be a character flaw. All right.
Mm,
All right. It's a person that has not gotten to their spirit and been able to have self-control. All right? Because again, we have this idea, this romantic idea, that you get in a relationship with somebody and nobody else is fine. People are still gorgeous. All right. But
right.
if you don't have that part of your character together, and if you don't have that part of if your devotion ain't there, if you aren't willing to be yielded to your partner to understand the things that are going on with them, if you have this idea that you're supposed to get every single thing that you desire, every single thing that you want, even ill things, then you're going to be incompatible with the person that's looking for you to be faithful, or is looking for you to be devoted. So a lot of our failed relationships, we credit it to incompatibility. But incompatibility is taking credit for something that's really much deeper. We have to look at ourselves and see what's really going on in us, maybe in them. How are we contributing in ways to one another? What are the dynamics of this relationship that is leading us down a road of failure? All right. And we have to look at that. And I know we hear it, and we hear it goes in one ear and out the other one, but it really is not always just this thing of, oh, well, we were just incompatible for each other. What people are talking about when they're saying compatible, a lot of times they have these ill ideologies of how a relationship is supposed to be, and then they haven't found the person that matches that illness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
and then some of the relationships that we're hashtag relationship goaling, that we think are these great relationships, really what you're looking at is two broken people that figured out how to coddle each other. That's why it's working. They figured out, I've figured out your weakness, and I've learned how to, or better put this way, I have this ill ideology that I'm just going to use this as an example, so nobody shoot me. That men should lord over women. So then I find a woman that believes that men should lord over women, and then we come together and make it work. But the reality is that's an ill thought. All right. Now, again, what works for
Yeah.
you works for you. All right. But a lot of times that's what's going on. It's not so much incompatibility, it's unwillingness. It's somebody didn't do
Mm-hmm.
their work. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I mean, because again, when I hear somebody say they lost their relationship over incompatibility, over communication issues, these are skills that can be learned, folks. So we lost a relationship over something that could be learned. Now, it's different if you tell me I was a cat and they was a fish and we was trying to be in a relation. Now, okay, that's two totally different natures or species of, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I was trying to be in a relationship with the rock wallet, with the rock wallet. You know, that's a whole nother, that's the whole, the Bible said there was none, the animals wasn't suitable for him. So, hey, all right. But some, but some of these things we have been made to be suitable helpers one to another. So if we run into issues of incompatibility, maybe we need to look at, were we aligning to our own suitability?
Mm-hmm.
Because it might be that, it might not be incompatibility. All right. That does exist at times. So I'm not, but I would venture to say that 80 to 90% of our relationships don't fail because we're incompatible. They fail because we're unwilling.
And we're unwilling and probably unintentional as a
Mm.
yeah, yeah. And
Or
even right here,
self-intentional,
say it again.
or just self-intentional, intentional for only me.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to give me what I went into this relationship for, you to meet my needs, instead of me going into this relationship because I saw you, I looked into your beautiful chocolate eyes, your beautiful self, just my Hershey kiss. Mm. And I want you because
Hair flip.
girl, flip it. I see the divine relational worth in you. I see the worth in you. So then now I want to give to that. I want to speak to that. That's why I'm in relationship with you. Not just because you're cute, just because you whatever, and you can make me look good, be a nice little dime piece on my arm,
Mm-hmm.
but because I see something that I know it, because it speaks to that same space in me, and I want to contribute to you, not just take from you.
Come on. What you doing after the show?
Nothing.
Glory. Um, Another part you said in here that stood out to me when we said this, how you know you're getting older when you have to hold a book back like this. Oh God, I've been wearing glasses since I was 15. I think it's time for a new prescription.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Um, Man, when we set intentional vision and focus and partnering in wholeness, any roles and position that may be necessary can birth from that abundance. And you kind of just, dabbed on that a minute ago, but I think that these words are so prevalent. I think they have so much girth and so much meaning in this book. Um, and then you said, then even not. You said, um, what kind of spirit and energy are you mastering? How much of your core essence is being love? I'm sorry, how much of your core essence in being love is being masked? And I love how every time you use the word love in the book, it's a capital letter.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, that's I
I,
started
I,
that.
I read
I
your
started
book, friend.
Right. I'm saying I started that in relationality because we have so many definitions of love, and it's like when you're talking about love. So if you notice, if I'm talking about people just being in love and just being in
Yeah.
this love, or just talking about loving something, whatever, I use a lowercase l, because see
Hmm.
the capital case L1 is because God is love, right? And we're talking
Yeah.
about unconditional love. And guess what? You're made in that image, so you are love too. It's now a proper noun. It's a proper thing. So when I'm talking about
Mhm.
the kind of love that I'm talking about that brings us into relational greatness, it's going to be capitalized.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I love it.
Look.
Capital L. Um, I I know you said that this is your favorite chapter. I think this is my part two, my follow-up favorite chapter from the accountability chapter. Again, there are several pages that I have highlighted, and I got to the point in the book where I stopped highlighting like the actual sentences or quoting the sentences or making the little brackets around the sentences. I just started writing down page such and such through such and such,
Mm,
so I could
mhm.
just embrace the
Yeah,
whole thing and
I
go
got
back to it. I got like 3 pages. Um, so towards the end of Yield Ready, um, we have to be, if we are ready to be relationship ready, we have to understand what really matters. And you just touched on that a little bit, and I love how you just kind of you go back in this book and you reiterate several things over and over again. You like, well, I'm not on my high horse, but if you think I am, okay, yeah, I am. So because you need it, it's like because you need it. And I even love the quote that you brought up from the Secret Life of the Bees.
Mm,
This was amazing. This little passage that you shared in here, and at the end, lifting someone's heart. Now that
that's
matters.
what matters. Yeah.
You know,
Mm, mm.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, right.
That's all I could say.
We're fighting over what color the house is, or
Right.
we want to force our way over what color carpet we're gonna get in our new crib, or which
Hmm.
car we're gonna buy. And then at the end of the day,
Superficial.
superficial stuff. At the end of the day, and then our relationship is gone because we're trying to force. See, because there's something in us that feel like I got to fight my way. See, we've been used to, and that's why I say some of it is valid. You've had to fight your way through life and everything. Your relationships should be the place you can go and rest.
Hmm.
You shouldn't have to fight. See, our relationships are a providence, right? They were created to be a providence. But unfortunately, we're living in a way where we have to protect ourselves from each other, from the very thing that was given to us to heal us, to help, to be a part of our wholeness, to be a part of all that we are. So then we're arguing over the minuscule things because, well, if I let them get their way, or what about me? Is anybody gonna think about me? But what really ultimately matters is when we see
Hmm.
again, when we see the worth in another person's eyes and say, you know what, we can get the pink house, which one I can't think of.
Mary Kay. Mary
Sit.
Kay.
Or we can get the pink Cadillac like Mary Kay be riding around or whatever. But it's like we can get the story of the bees or whatever, where she told her sister,
Hmm.
she said, you know what, pink made her heart happy.
Hmm.
Lifting somebody's heart, that's what really matters. We
Hmm.
live on we live on a planet where it's a lot of hearts that's down, and if we really want to
Hmm.
make a difference, that's why I wrote even this book. I don't touch a lot of times the romantic things or whatever, but I feel like there's so many people that are hurting relationally, and even you know they have trauma from relational breakups and relational just relationships that didn't go. This shouldn't be, y'all. This really shouldn't be. I get that things happen. I get that life happens. All right. But there's so many hearts that's down. When we can come into somebody's life and say, here, listen, I see you
I
and I've
see you.
come here. I see you. I see your worth. And I want to speak to that worth. I don't want to just take from it. I want to speak to it. Because
Hmm.
there's a Godness, there's a Christness on the inside of me that is a
Hmm.
source, right? But see, we're busy putting ourselves in the position to receive. And again, there's a place for that too, because love wouldn't have anything to give to if nobody received. So it is still
Hmm.
loving to receive. But when we take advantage of that in a way that is ill, where you're just getting everything fed to you, you're not seeing your partner's worth other than a good
What's
lay
up,
in
Mr.
bed.
Black?
You
Hmm.
have to get into that bed knowing that you're finna bring something to the table, not just good performance, but I'm finna speak to your worth when I lay down with you.
Right. Come on.
Right? Not just want you to do me, but I want to
Right.
speak to your worth. I value you. I
Hmm.
honor you. I see the
That's
divine when
that
I look at you.
passion.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this can be this could be heaven.
Right. 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 Relationship ready. The color of the house isn't what really matters in life, but the joy in that house, along with the people in it, means way
Yes.
more.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now I
When we
got to go watch The Secret Life of the Bees because I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've seen it.
you remember
And
that
if I
part?
did, yeah, I don't remember that part. I
Mhm.
probably
Yeah.
wasn't. I probably was not there mentally. I probably was not. I was like, probably. I was like, everybody want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So what is it? Fast forward.
Powerful though. Powerful piece. Little conversation between Queen and Dakota Fanning, little girl, right there at the
Yeah,
beehive.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Dakota Fanning. She's all grown up now, but
Yep.
yeah, she was an amazing child actress. Um, Yielding. I'm going to yield on the yielding. Because like I said,
It's
this is
hard. It's not
I
easy.
believe that
It's not
it's
easy.
not. It's not.
It's not easy. But that's the part where
No.
you, like I said, that's the part. That's the part where we let go of, right? Where we say, "I'm willing to let my ego go." It's not letting you go. It's letting your ego go. And when we let
Mm-hmm.
our ego go, we actually embrace who we really are. This stuff really, honestly, it benefits you as a being and how you show up
Mm-hmm.
on this planet and contribute. If you look at it as, I'm just doing this for them, you're going to miss it. And it's going to be seen as hard.
Right.
But when you look at it from the
Uh-huh.
standpoint of saying, I'm actually trying to be my best self, that's really, I'm really just trying to be my best self. I have moments even with in my partnership where I can feel I'm that dude, and I think I'm probably the only crazy idiot to do this, but I'm that dude when I feel my pride rising up. I know what Leanne's pride look like, and it's not pretty. I don't want to contribute that to this society. So
So
I'm the
sometimes
one
you have
that'll
to
do
walk
something.
away from that good thing in the bed.
I'm the one that'll do something to bring that pride down. All right. So for me, when I feel it, if I feel it coming up or whatever, if I there's this little thing, I'll put myself in a vulnerable position purposely, right? Because I'm not just doing it because I'm weak. I'm doing it because I'm trying to combat that. Y'all don't want this to show up. So I'm going to put myself in this position of quote unquote vulnerability, which is really a position of strength. But I'm going to put myself in this
Right.
position to be. It even helps with when I feel pride rising up. I've learned that I'm learning now to receive. I had a very hard time when somebody offers me something to give me something, or especially money. And then this time right now, while I'm unemployed or whatever, it's been very. Ugh. But I ain't asking nobody for nothing. That's
Right.
that's kind of how. So, but there's been a few people who's like, I want to give to you, and I'm like, I'm wanting to say no, and a few times I was saying no, and my mouth is like, no, that's pride. You need to let yourself receive what they're trying to do for you.
Blessing. Yeah.
So I'll do that even in my relationship. I do that even in my if I feel like I'm becoming it's becoming top heavy. I'm being a little bit more too dominant than this other person. Then I'll put myself in a position to allow um, their light to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we don't all operate that way because we look at it as I'm giving myself away to them. No, I'm just trying to be my higher self, and I want them to be
Right.
their higher self. So
I'm being a punk.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Relationship ready. LeanderStockley.com. Um, go get it. Go get it. $12. A portion of the proceeds will go to um, bettering the community, bettering an
It's all
individual,
relational,
bettering the community, all
it's all
relational.
relational. And you
Um,
sow those relational seeds.
you
This is
sowing
one of the
seeds,
ways you
exactly.
enter into. This is one of the ways you enter into relational greatness. So it's,
It's
it's,
got
it's
to be
little stuff.
beyond you.
Yes, yeah, it's little things that we can do that really positions us in this relational greatness, and we don't even look at it that way. But it's little things that we can do that really, you want to have a great relationship, help somebody else have a great one.
Hmm.
Meaning,
Hmm.
don't go sneak it up in somebody else's boo's bed.
Oh, enlightened relationships, chapter 6, E N
Ego.
I L I.
No, I'm just playing.
Right.
No, I was commenting
Oh man.
to Sinead.
Man, Shanae is going all the way in. So is Brother Rucker. Make sure you check your Cash App because they love on everything you're saying. Inline relationships. I want to go to the workbook. Um, this will. I'm sorry. This workbook. I guess layout that you use. Typical relationship
Hmm.
versus
Versus
enlightened.
enlightenment.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Can we talk about maybe a quick, explanation of the difference? Because some people think typical is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Again.
think that typical is where it's at, because that's like you said, that's what we've been taught, that's what we've been saying, that's what we've seen, that's what we've been shown, that's all that we know. Definitely the the European and the Western, civilization culture of how relationships are supposed to be.
Hmm.
Stacy, what's going on?
Hmm.
So break down a little bit of this, and if you don't have the book right in front of you, I can help share
I got it.
some of these things
I got it.
because
And I'll
you're
just give them a
awesome.
couple of them. We'll just give them a couple of them
Okay,
because you get the book. Uh,
you gotta get the book.
you gotta get
twelve
the book.
dollars. It's on sale. It's $5 off. Come on.
Yep. All right.
And my book, if you get my like the book I got,
That's the one.
because I could,
Anybody that orders the book from my website will get that nice, soft, pretty
and then I could
cover.
fill on it like the letters raise up a little bit. And then my friend right here, he's all handsome and stuff, and it's like velvety.
Yeah.
It's velvety. It's like sexy. This is a sexy book. I ain't never seen no book cover like this.
It ain't like that if you
Okay.
get it from Amazon or if you get it from
If you
any
get it
other.
from Amazon, you're gonna get the little regular recycled paper.
Yeah, yeah,
You better order from leanderstockley.com.
yeah, yep. Book and the bookmark. We'll say get the book and the
Oh, I
bookmark.
got a bookmark. I got a bookmark.
The one and only Will
Proceed.
Rucker is on the screen. I mean on the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Um,
Will ain't playing.
but yeah, so typical relationships, there's characters, typical relationship versus enlightened relationship, and I'll just give a couple of them. Um, let me pick one of the ones that I feel like is a really good one.
Okay, that works.
Let's see. With typical relationships, it's really ultimately just about, for some people, it's just about like physical intimacy. All right. If the sex ain't good, blah, 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 blah. Which I ain't saying sex don't need to be good now.
Glory.
But there's something that makes sex good other than the physical pleasure. Right. Right. But with a typical relationship, it's a lot of times it's about physical intimacy. But with an enlightened relationship, it's really about emotional intimacy and true companionship. All right. And true companionship is not necessarily about this whole thing that we talk about compatibility. It's really truly being a companion to. All right. Somebody asked me one time before, we were playing a game called Dirty Hearts, and they asked me this question of how many sex partners I had. Right. And I said, sex partners or sex mates, right? Because there's quite a few people or sex people that I've slept with, right? Because there's quite a few that I've slept with, but I've only had about 3 partners,
Mm,
right? Totally different situation that I actually felt partnered with.
that's a whole
And I'm
nother
not,
book too,
and
sir.
it wasn't depending on magic. It wasn't depending on all this. It was presence that made that a partnership. It wasn't how great it was, and it was great, right? But it wasn't about how great it was in terms of performance. It was about how great it was in terms of presence. I'm here with you.
Hmm.
You're here with me. We see each other as not just a piece of meat, but as something divine that deserves to be spoken to in a
Right.
worthy type of way. All right. So a typical relationship, the sex just got to be good. But in a enlightened relationship, the presence has to be good.
Yes.
All right. And we hold that particular space sacred. I believe. And then in typical relationships, some of the need is dependency, enmeshment, role. I hate to use some of those words because sometimes we get those mixed up, but I have it written here, so I gotta say it. But roles and conflict, and all of those things are about typical relationships. But in enlightened relationships, it's not about roles and conflict. It's about wholeness and cooperation. All right. We talk a lot. It's about consciousness and growth instead of just being about, growth through all of these little experiences. We had this experience, so we didn't grew,
Right.
but we learned from that lesson. This is about consciousness and consciousness ultimately is about being more present with one another. It's not about I had this epiphany. I don't woke up. I'm awoke. I'm woke now. All right. And
Right.
I see the
Don't they be?
conspiracy.
Oh my God.
No. Consciousness is ultimately about being more present, understanding, and really being awakened to this beautiful piece of chocolate sitting right here. Yeah, girl, I'm talking about you. So it's like so that's the difference in those particular spaces. So some people, and there's some other things in here, but you got to get the book or whatever. But so a lot of people are hashtag relationship goaling for some of these typical type of relationships that are met with all types
Mm-hmm.
of breakup and whatever. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being aiming for the enlightened relationship where we actually come into a different space. It's a graduated space of relating. And I say graduated, but I hate to use that term. It's a more authentic way of relating. It's a more natural way versus just normal what we see. All right. So and we're trying to get there. We're all trying to get there. Well, I am.
I, and we all should be, if we truly understand and embrace, our journey in life. And, you know, you call them wow, WOW, these words of wisdom that's what they are, words of wisdom. Words of wisdom all throughout this book, all throughout this person of a man, right here. And we're going into the last couple of chapters, landing the relationship. Because if you guys have been paying attention, this book has built you, should build you up or help you build up, the person that you already are. Each chapter is a step, is a stair, to get you where you need to be. So getting this book will help you be prepared. And as we've gone through all of these steps, and I wanted to be very, intentional about going through the steps because chapter 7 is landing the relationship. Landing the relationship. How do we do it, Lee? How do we do it?
The big giveaway in that is, everybody's like, oh, how do I land? We're trying to land this good relationship. How do I get the relationship?
Right.
Get the book and I'll tell you.
Yep.
there, there you go. Get the book and I'll tell you exactly how to.
He tells you. And can't none of y'all see, so I know y'all can't see that, but he tells you. He tells you. This is then when you get to this part right here, yeah.
There's a
When you
twist
get
to
to
the
this part
story,
right
huh?
here.
But
When you get to this part right here.
you can land the relationship and not have to manipulate the situation.
You shouldn't have to manipulate the
You
situation.
shouldn't. This shouldn't be about winning and capturing nobody's heart. This shouldn't have to be about. That's manipulation. This is why we say he ain't who he was when I first met him. She ain't who niggas ain't. Yeah. Oh, can I
Right,
say
right,
niggas doing the
right.
social unrest?
Hey,
Oops. Beep.
hey, we fine. Raw, authentic.
Right.
Raw, authentic. Chapter 7 is a beast, guys. And this is like the culmination of the book. Um, chapter 8 is what it should be, the blessing, you know, the blessing, the closeout, the the bidding of the adieu, and all of those gracious terminologies. But folks that just kind of maybe been to church a couple times, we call it the benediction.
Benediction.
We call it the
May the Lord
benediction.
watch between
Man,
me and
why we're absent,
one from another.
man. But
Now
I
unto
will.
him who is able. No,
Who
I'm
is
just
able? Come on, sir. Boy, that part right, you be like, Dag, we're finna be here another 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Oh man, that part right there. Chapter 8, though, benediction. Some good focal points are the C words: consideration, compassion, and covenant. And if you seek and discover and work on those things and be intentional with those things, with those words, with those meanings, with their purposes, um, you might just be, you might, you might be relationship ready.
Relationship ready.
Relationship ready. And then he has this portion in the back, reflective. My friend is such a geek, and I love it. Reflective visioning exercise sheet, quick exercise sheets. Listen, this is the part where you go check yourself.
Yeah.
This is the part where you go check yourself. I wish y'all could read what I was reading. If y'all could read, go get the book and you can see right here what it is. Relational greatness is about aligning yourself to virtues that are reflective of your inner worth. That's all I'm going to give you.
Mm.
That's all I'm going to give you.
That was good. Say that again. Say that again. That was good.
Hold on. My friend wrote this book. Hold on. Relational greatness is about aligning yourself to virtues that are reflective of your inner worth.
Yes.
You want me to read the
That's,
whole part right here? You want me to read the whole thing?
okay. I don't even
It's a
remember.
paragraph. It's like three sentences.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This right here, if y'all don't get anything else from this whole time that we spent together, get this right here. Turn your volume up right quick. Tell the kids to be quiet. Make sure the microwave's not getting ready to go off. Turn down the TV. Turn your volume up on this, okay? I was trying to get you ready. Relational greatness is about aligning yourself to virtues that are reflective of your inner worth. This is possible to those who are willing to look within themselves and identify the things that contribute to their overall relational prowess. This worksheet, when you buy the book, Lee, point at the book.
The book.
Point at the when you buy the book. When you buy the book,
The
this
book.
worksheet will help you initiate your reflection and introspection in moving toward meaningful alignment when you buy the book. Can y'all hear that in the microphone? When you buy the book at leanzerstockley.com. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. I will leave these next couple of minutes for you for closing remarks, any additional insight that you want to give. Definitely your handles where people can find you, follow you, love you, support you, and all those great things.
Okay. I think they just put up the website. That is www.leanzarstockley.com. That's LeanzarStockley.com. So that's where you can get the book. Or you can follow me on Instagram, which will be either at Soul Society, SOULCIETY 61, or at Lionzar, LIONZAR. All right, that was my Instagram. And then on Facebook, I'm just Leanzer Stockley. And I think the same thing on Twitter. All right. The last things that I really want to say is I know we have a lot of relationship influencers and people out there. And I'm going to say this in the best way that I can possibly say it. A lot of what I have seen and a lot of what I have experienced in my view of what, especially on social media, is tactics that people are trying to give for people to manipulate their relationships, or ways to get around this and ways to get around that. But at the end of the day, it's really going to boil down to who you choose to be, what
Mm-hmm.
character you choose to align to, which is outlined in here, just kind of pointing you in that direction, not telling you who to be. But the whole point of this was to try to point you to your own inner spiritual intelligence, your own relational wisdom. It's right here. It's right here in us. We don't have to keep having failed relationships. We don't have to keep having them. Yes, things happen, but we don't have to keep having failed relationships. And until we begin to speak to the core of why we're having failed relationships, and again, not just because something is incompatible, but really going to the areas of trauma that are there. We've lost some relationships because they triggered a trauma. They didn't cause the trauma, they triggered one, and then we got rid of them, or we left because we felt like that they were, they got on my last nerves or whatever. But you don't realize, what some people don't realize is people talk about soulmates and all this other stuff or whatever. I don't really use that word that much, but people talk about soulmates. Your soulmate will get on your last nerve.
Sure.
Because ultimately relationships are to help us, to support us in being who we really are, not just personality. They're really there to help support us in being who we really are. All right. And that means getting past ego, past trauma, past drama, past all of these different things. And it can get on our nerves at times. All right. So, but we don't have to continue to have failed relationships. And I still have grace. This is not to say, again, everybody's not having a great time finding the one or finding somebody to actually partner with them in this way. A lot of people find the people to sleep with, but they're not finding people to partner with. So I hope that with this book, with Relationship Ready and with relationality, I think some people probably need to read this one first in order to really understand where I'm going with this one. But I think they both can stand alone. And what I have found also is that this works for people, and even people who are not necessarily single and looking to get in a relationship. The relational principles in this are for everybody.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's for everybody. And it's things that we need. It's character development that we all need to bring into play that will help us get to that space of really truly landing that relationship. Of landing that relationship. So it definitely is something that I hope really touches your heart. It took a lot for me to get that one out. But I hope it really kind of touches people's heart. And again, it's on sale, $12 right now. And you still gotta pay shipping and handling because I ain't got no job. This is my job. So and $1 is going to go to some things that I'm going to determine at a later date once the tour is completely over. $1 from every book sold. All right, so people can get it for, again, book clubs if you want to get it and really talk. If you're really serious and you ain't just talking about, him under the sheets. All right, it's not a romantic novel. All right, so it's a relational alignment. All right, so book clubs and people that want to get it, there's discounts for buying multiple ones and stuff like that. So that's it.
Cool. I thank you. I thank you tremendously, and I would love to circle back around real soon. If you guys have questions or maybe comments that you want to share, but you are like us, you might be a little private, feel free to inbox me. Feel free to inbox Leanzer. We will address those questions the best way we can. If you want me, maybe you know me and you don't know him, but you want me to share it with him. I will forward those questions to him, and we will definitely address those concerns the best way that we know how. To service you the best way that you need to be serviced. Okay, this is about growth all the way across the board for everybody.
Yeah.
This is truly relational alignment. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for tuning in. We would have done this, live one-on-one, but due to the powers that be, and her name is Roro right now, we have to do everything virtually. But this is stimulating. This stimulates your mind and your creativity, and it makes it work. It helps you expand. So you can check me out. I'm Bryson. You can follow me on Instagram at the original Bryson, and I think if you go to Facebook and you punch in the original Bryson, it'll take you to my page too. But Instagram is where the real action is. So go follow me on Instagram. Follow Leanzer at Lionzar, Lionzar on Instagram, and let's stay connected. Let's stay rooted. Let's continue to grow together. Shout out to my show, We Radio. We are
So,
on YouTube right now. We are on Instagram. We're on Facebook, and we're on StreamYard.
mhm.
Shout out to our woman behind the scenes who, helped us special friends get through this process.
Whoop.
It's always got to be a genius in one group. Angel
Oh,
Simmons, we appreciate you. Go check her out.
Love y'all.
Loves Great Design. We love you. Loves Great Design. Go follow her on Instagram as well. She actually has some books out.
mm.
Loves Great Design, and then she has, like I said, some stuff up her sleeve that's coming out real soon. So make sure you stay in tune with her. All my friends are famous, so
That's what we say, right? All my friends are
that's what
famous.
that's what we say. All my friends are famous, and we're just trying to keep doing big things for the community, for the culture. All right, Lee, I love you. I am love for you, Angel. Ditto, all that. My sugar
Love
smacks and my
you.
honey frappuccino latte deliciousness friends.
Yes, and thank you for being the first platform that we have done this, that we've getting ready to, that we've been able, wrong book, but you get what I'm saying, to do this
Yeah, get all the
tour,
books.
to do this tour on or whatever. And anybody else that wants to host, it don't cost you nothing to host. All right, this is how we traveling. So instead of going to somebody's physical place, we going to your platform to
Mhm.
do the relationship ready tour. So if you got a platform that you want people to hear this kind of information, then contact me, and we gonna get it. We can get it going. All right.
And I've broken the cherry for everyone, I think.
Ooh,
So everybody
bam.
else who would love to do an interview with him or follow up, I gave I'm finna go. I'm done. I'm done. Follow Leandra Stockley, leandrastockley.com. Leanzar, buy the book, support, yourself, support others.
Yeah,
That's what this
yeah.
is about. We are
So
done. Thank you
we are
very
done.
much. All right, we out. Because
All
Instagram's
right.
going to put us out again.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right,
Peace.
peace.
I am love for y'all.